you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everyone. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Financial Group, and it's time to stop doing what you hate. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope you've had a great year so far. Things are moving very quickly. The first quarter of the year is already done, and we're sitting here in Q2. This thing is flying by so fast. I think the year is going to be over with before we know it. But there's a lot of things going on out there. And one of the things I wanted to share with you folks today it's kind of something that I don't really want to talk about, but it's something that I kind of have to talk about because nobody else is talking to you about it, but you probably already think about this anyway. And it's kind of like messing with how you do things in regards to your finances. It also kind of hurts how you do things in life. And so I want to talk to you guys about something called market manipulation. And the title of my show today is going to be, Is the Stock Market Rigged? And the game within the game. The game within the game. And I'm kind of using a sports analogy here where you see two guys like playing basketball, like you say LeBron, and you got like LeBron and say, somebody else, like they going at him back and forth and they're trading baskets on the other ends and they're like just taking blows at each other and seeing, who can blow by who can dunk on who. And it's like the overall goal is to win the game, but then there's a game within the game. And sometimes we think that these football games are rigged. Sometimes we think these basketball games are rigged. Sometimes we think people are tanking. Sometimes we think a lot of stuff. And maybe it's true, but maybe it's just the fact that those that are in the game know how to play the game and take advantage of the game better than most. And that's the problem we have today. There's a lot of people taking advantage of the game, and there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines just, booing about it, right? So I want to talk to you guys today about stock market manipulation. Is the market rigged? And just kind of show you some examples and things like that of what has happened before. And at the end, I'm going to share with you the biggest form of market manipulation out there. And a lot of people know this, but no one's really talking about it because they've taken sides. They played this game with politics and they're taking a side. And I'll talk to you about that towards the end of my show. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. So I'm going to give you some examples of market manipulation strategies out there. And I'll talk to you guys about some of this stuff. So one of the most famous forms of market manipulation is insider trading. Now, I haven't seen too many forms of insider trading that has tanked the stock market. I really haven't seen that. I've seen some insider trading stories where, people have gotten rich off of information that they weren't supposed to have. And the secret to this is a lot of people trade on information that they probably shouldn't have. Maybe they just came across the information. Maybe they overheard a conversation. Maybe somebody was at a country club in a locker room talking about something they weren't supposed to be talking about, and they didn't think anybody was listening, but somebody was around the corner and they heard it and they traded on it. Now, is that person an insider? Not necessarily, but they had inside information to trade on. Now, one of the things here in my firm, we're heavily scrutinized and there's a ton of compliance stuff that we have to go through. And so one of the things I have to do every single year is I have to disclose what my trades are for the most part, like, my trades and also the stocks that I'm holding. And it's, as a fiduciary, it's tough for me to recommend to my clients stocks that I don't hold and things that I don't own. And so I tend not to want to do that. And I don't do that. Now, sometimes I hold things that are not right for my clients and I'll let them know I'm holding this stuff, but it's not right for you because it's highly speculative, right? And sometimes, they'll say, if they have the risk tolerance, they'll say, hey, let me in on that, right? And if they have the risk tolerance, yeah, maybe, I'll break them off And sorry about saying that, but I'll hook them up. I'll make the trade for them. All right. So I don't know. I'm just feeling kind of weird today. So you might hear a lot of stuff out of me that you probably haven't heard before. And that's okay. As long as it's not hurting anybody's feelings or making anybody crazy. But going back to my main goal, and that's to help the middle class get from where they are today to where they really want to be. But a lot of times the problems in the middle class is created by the middle class. And I'll talk to you about that as well. So let's talk about some other forms of market manipulation, because this stuff happens all the time. Now, one of the things I'm going to share with you is how they manipulate the market with false and misleading information. And a lot of times they'll put data out there that's not necessarily true. How do they get away with this crap? It's because it's all opinions. Okay. Somebody will write an article. They'll get paid to write this article by somebody. They'll put that article out there. And guess what? The robots see it. And the robots, right, they trade off of information. And so when they see this information out there in the news feeds, okay, that can't be bad. A guy was driving a Tesla car at 2:00 in the morning or whatever, and he ran into the back of a fire truck. How the hell are you going to run a Tesla into the back of a fire truck at 2:00 in the morning if you're actually driving? See, the details of that story have not come out yet. The investigation is not over yet. But the stock took a hit because, hey, cars crashing with people in them into the back of fire trucks ain't good. All right. So when you see that kind of stuff out there, it gets traded on. Has nothing to do with the fundamentals of the stock. Now, was that a false and misleading story? No, it wasn't. It was an actual story that actually happened. But it was a negative story nonetheless. And when you begin to stock negative story after negative story after negative story, guess what it does? It begins to form a narrative. And when you form a narrative and it sticks, then it forms an opinion. When it forms an opinion, then it forms actions. And then when it forms actions, and then the next thing you know, you got a dangerous situation in your hands that has nothing to do with the fundamentals of a stock. So we're going to talk about some other forms like rigging price quotes, the pump and dump scheme, the poop and scoop scheme. We're going to talk about that and how you can be aware of that and how you can watch out for it and how you can take advantage of it when you see it. The goal of being in the market is to make money. Now I'm going to put the disclosure out there. Past performance is no indicator of future results. All investments do carry the risk of loss. Before investing in anything, do your due diligence, do your market research, speak to a qualified advisor and get a third opinion or second opinion or whatever it is before you invest in the market. There are no guarantees. All right. Now, with that being said, the goal of being in the market is to make money, is to grow your money, is to get an overall return on your money. If you're in the market for anything else, like I don't even know what you're doing here, right? You can't be in the market just for bragging purposes. I mean, you're in the market seriously to make money. You enter into any kind of transaction for some kind of benefit. You buy a car for a benefit, right? Because you need to get from A to B. You go on a trip for a benefit, on a vacation or whatever it might be, right? You go on vacation for a benefit. All right. There's other forms of trips, and I'm just trying to say. But let's get into some of these. All right. We talked about spreading false and misleading information. That's rumors that they put out about companies. It's paying people to put false things out there, right? How do journalists get away with this stuff? How do they get away with it? They say things like, oh, I can't reveal my sources. Sources close to me tell me this, and sources, I can't reveal my sources. I ain't never heard such bullcrap in my life being abused the way it's being abused today. You ain't got no sources. A lot of this crap is just made up because people have lost all self-dignity and all self-worth in some cases. It's all about playing the game and taking sides to get what you want. And that is sad. I see that happening way too many times. I see too many people getting way too political with their portfolio. When you get political with your portfolio, I told you before, it ends very bad. Really bad. unless you learn from your mistake, take your money out in time and then put it on the side somewhere. But a lot of times when people play politics with their portfolio, it's a never ending game. It just never stops until they just get tired of it and they get out of the market altogether. And they say stuff like the stock market is rigged, or, I don't believe in the market anymore. And I got burned. And yeah, that's because you did something stupid. And I'm going to say that you did something stupid, unwise, foolish, whatever you want to call it. Right. I know I might get flack for this, but right now, like I said, I'm feeling weird today and I kind of don't care. I'm sorry. But some other things out there, rigging quotes. This happens at a very high level. Guys have gone to jail for this, right? Rigging quotes, not just fines, but actually have gone to jail from rigging quotes and manipulating the market at such a major level. It's insane, the stuff that they got away with. The SEC finally caught up to him, but you know what? A lot of times in the SEC, when they're doing these investigations, it's like, who knows who? How did Bernie Madoff get away with what he got away with for so long? It's because he was embedded in the system. Bernie Madoff was the system. Bernie Madoff, he was the game maker. He was in the, he created the game, and he got everybody else to play along with his game. And that's unfortunate because a lot of people lost a lot of money, right? Because they weren't watching out for things. They weren't watching out for the warning signs. They took a side and they became non-objective, right? They were not objective in what they saw. They just were not. They went along with it because in the beginning it was great. They made a bunch of money, and then in the end it just kind of fell apart. I'm sure there was a lot of false and misleading information being pushed around out there. Another one of these schemes is called the pump and dump scheme. All right. I know it sounds terrible, but it happens all the time. You get people hyping a stock, like the hype man. Like they got Kim Kardashian, right? She was hyping crypto, and we live in the world of influencers today. Everybody's influenced by something or the other. Right. And if you don't think you're being influenced, I would say check yourself before you wreck yourself, because everybody is being influenced in some way or another. Right. So you got to watch out for that. Now, the pump and dump. FTX was a famous example of that. Right. People were buying it. Well, I wouldn't say FTX. I would say some forms of crypto. Right. Some of these fake coins out there, they were being pumped by some of the, basketball players, football players, or whatever. And these guys are influencers, and, they played in the game. Some of them were famous stars and things like that, but they were hyping up stocks. And here's the problem with that. These people are not fiduciaries. They are not looking out for your own best interest. They got paid to say these things. All right. And then that's not good. So they were pumping it up, and the people who own the stuff was dumping it behind the scenes. And I think that's horrible, because guess who gets left holding the bag? The same thing happens with some of these IPOs. Some of these companies have made people gazillions of dollars when they got out and you got in. That's why I'm not a fan of buying into IPOs, the hot new thing when it first comes out. It's going to make a bunch of money and then it's going to bust and go back down. But guess what? Those guys got out at the beginning. They sold the company for billions of dollars and now they're rich. And now you are looking at a 70, 80, 90% loss because you bought the stock that had no earnings and it was all hype. It's kind of like Flavor Flav getting out there with a big gold clock, and he's out there hyping up the crowd, and he's hyping everybody up and getting everybody all ready to go. And, don't believe the hype. Sorry about that. Feeling weird today. Fake recommendations, selling what you don't own. Hyping up things that you don't own. That is not legitimate for investment advisors. And if you feel like somebody's hyping you up to buy something that you shouldn't be buying, go get another opinion. Don't sit there and go along with it, all right? Just because you like the person or you've taken it aside. That's crazy. Let's talk about the poop and scoop. That's like somebody crapping all over you. Say you guys go out, you and your boy, you guys go out, you guys are tight, you go out to the club, and there's a girl you want to talk to, and your boy knows you want to talk to this girl. And so he goes over and and this is going to be weird. He poops all over you because he's jealous. He wants you for himself. He's a selfish buddy. And he realizes that if you hook up with this girl, you're going to be spending more time with her and less time with him. You guys not going to be as tight as you was before. So he's crapping all over you, making you seem like you're a horrible guy, and you're just friends. He's just friends with you to kind of help you get back in the game and to get your life back on track. But you're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. So you come out of the bathroom, you went and put on some clothing, and you come out, and next thing you know, the girl's gone. What happened? You guy says, yo, dog, man, this girl is foul. She's not right for you. She's not right for you. You're better off without her. All right. So I told her to scram. Now he has you all to himself. And guess what? They did that with Tesla. They pooped all over Tesla because of Twitter. And they were scooping it up. Bought almost 1 billion shares of it behind the scenes. Hoop and scoop. They got away with it. Because guess what? Tesla went back up 60, 70%, 80% at one point before it just reversed. And they were talking about how they got out and how they made money. Right? And people say this stuff on TV. And they get away with it because it's opinions, right? I had people lose a lot of money because they got out of Tesla at the wrong time. Called me and told me to sell it. It's a horrible stock. Get out of it. Why? Well, I heard this, I heard that on TV. They're saying this. I don't care what the hell they're saying on TV, right? Sorry, but I'm not feeling well today. I don't care what they say on TV, right? You get out of a stock at the wrong time and it goes up the next day. That's your fault. You got to understand the fundamentals. You got to understand the technical analysis. You can't just believe what you're hearing. I'm tired of saying this, but you can't keep believing what you're hearing on TV. Why? Because the middle class is too busy. They're too distracted. They got too much going on to sit down and really pay attention to the things that they're supposed to be paying attention to. That's insane. The problem with the media is, again, they're never held accountable. Barely ever do you see the media getting sued because it's hard to win a defamation suit, especially if you're a public figure. If you're a public figure, they can get away with slandering you. They can get away with throwing you under the bus. They can get away with saying all kinds of things about you that are not true. And they get away with that, right? But I believe you reap what you sow, right? What you do to others, you will have done to you. Whether you're getting paid to do it or not, it doesn't matter. It's going to come back at you, right? It's going to come back at you. Now, let's talk about the interest rate manipulation of the market, where the Feds kept rates extremely low for a long period of time because inflation hadn't crept up yet, because they had the dual mandate of full employment, everybody working, everybody getting paid, and low inflation, because they wanted to control the narrative of how people live. They wanted to, they believe the rising tide lifts all ships. But what they fail to realize is if you don't have a boat in the water, hey, nothing's going to happen for you. And too many people don't have boats in the water. They're sitting out there on the sidelines because they think the game is rigged. They don't know how to play it. They're not interested in the game. They'll just take out of life whatever life gives them. And that's as far as they're going to go. The Bible says, the poor you will have with you always. And that's Jesus talking to Judas. And he was like, hey, why are you guys wasting all this money buying all this perfume to put on Jesus's feet? Because he was stealing money out of the basket on the side. And that's in the Bible. You can go look that up. And Jesus told him, the poor you will have with you always. And I'm not saying I'm making fun of poor people. It's just that poor people will be here forever. Some people are poor because of choices. Some people are poor because of situations that are no fault of their own. And so we do give, right? We give, and we give when we can give, and we give what we can give because we're fortunate to be able to do that. And I also help people that don't have money, sometimes on occasion, for free. I give them free advice. I tell them what to do. I share with them. I show them what to do. And a lot of times it's not the fact that they don't have, it's that they won't do. I'm going to say that again. A lot of times for people, it's not the fact that they don't have, they won't do, right? I love my family. I love people. And sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll tell me stuff and I'll ask them when I see them again, hey, did you do the thing that I asked you to do? Nah, man, no, I'm busy, dog. I'm busy. I ain't have time, man. Yo, okay. All right. Now, rates are being jacked up fast, so fast that everything was fine until a couple of banks broke. Now, people are losing faith in the market and everything is starting to break. The market is starting to break down because they have no faith in what they see. The jobs report comes out and it's worse than what they expect. It's like, wait a minute. What can you expect in this market when rates have been risen to the highest amount in history at the fastest pace? What do you think is going to happen? It's like running your car into a brick wall, right? Well, I take that back. You run into a brick wall, it's kind of instant. But a lot of times it's the phrase gradually and then all of a sudden, right? Gradually and then all of a sudden, right? Gradually, things get worse, then all of a sudden you fall off a cliff kind of thing. And that's what people are afraid of in today's market. They're afraid that this thing is going to fall off of a cliff. And the Fed is saying, yeah, we're thinking about a soft landing, but really, is that, can you pull this off? I mean, has it ever been done before in this situation? Nobody knows. And so we're all sitting here just trying to figure this thing out and jockeying for position and figuring out which stocks are not taking on water, which stocks are taking on water, what to get in and what to get out of, like, where's it going to go? And so nobody really knows right now because we don't have a crystal ball. Nobody knows. And this is the part about the market where it's not rigged. Is it manipulated? Yes, but it's not rigged because there's people who know how to play the game at the highest level. And there's people who are amateurs who don't. The problem is you have amateurs playing against the pros. And that's an uneven playing field. But you know what? You don't level down the NFL playing field for a high school team, do you? No. You have another venue for them. And that's why I think that you ought to have a couple of different markets. And I'm just saying this, you ought to have a couple of different stock markets. And you ought to have the advanced stock market. That way, these markets, it's less room for manipulation in these markets. But that's just me. I'm like weird right now, but that's just kind of like how I'm thinking, because there's a lot of manipulation that goes on that people get away with and they make gazillions of dollars and they don't go to jail for it, right? Why? My last point is this: political manipulation. They get away with it because of all the political donations that they make. Can you donate $2 million to a super PAC? Nope. I wouldn't want to. But if I had to, to save my business or to make, to play the game, I would think about it. I'm not saying I would. It just kind of depends. But these guys can do it. And they have regulation that's formed that's suitable to their needs. Some of them get subsidies and things like that. Some of them, they don't get investigated for certain things that come up. Political manipulation. Both sides do it. But to be honest with you, it's done more on one side than the other, and you can go look that up yourself. One party gets way more in political donations, campaign donations, than the other side. And then think about it. It's the side that rails against capitalism. They rail against capitalism, but they're taking so much money from the ones that are making the money, and the ones that are making the money are paying for the influence. So they get favorable regulations. That's the game. I can't complain about the game if I'm going to play it. I just need to know how to take advantage of what's happening in the game. So when I see them manipulating stocks, I do my due diligence. I do my research. I do understand what I'm looking at. And I also look at the projections, and I look at the fundamentals, and I look at the balance sheets, and I look at the cash flow, and I look at the free cash flow. I look at these things. And so if I see a stock being hammered and I look at the negative articles out there, then I know it's a classic hoop and scoop scheme. I also look at volume. How much of the stock is trading up or down? Is there a lot of volume in the stock? Is it bleeding on a low volume day? If it's bleeding on a low volume day, that's not good. That means people are getting out of it. And if there's no negative news, it just means people have lost confidence in the system. And they're thinking that the indicators are screaming a recession. Now, they're screaming a recession, and they're screaming a deep recession. We don't know which ones the indicators are screaming. We don't know if they're screaming a recession or they're screaming deep recession. We don't know. People are getting on TV and just saying the market's screaming recession. That's like me screaming at you at the top of my lungs saying, hey, watch out, there's a car. That means you're about to get hit. But if I said, hey, watch out, there's a car, it means you have a little bit more time, right? And you can make some adjustments. But if I'm screaming at the top of my voice, there's a car, you about to get hit. That's what that is. But the talking heads on TV are screaming. It sounds like we're about to fall off the end of the world. That's never happened before. Again, people get paid to put false and misleading information out there. And they also get paid to put out negative opinions or positive opinions. This game is not rigged. It's just manipulated. And you got to know what to do. When they zig, you got to zag. When they go up, you got to go down. I mean, you got to be a contrarian. All right. Now, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not feeling good today. I guess maybe I'm tired. I don't know. But this thing that I have inside that I want to get out has been bothering me for a while. And too many people are easily misled. Why? Because they're distracted. People are taking sides instead of being objective. Objective. And if I could get you to take away anything from what I'm saying today is you must remain open-minded and think about things in an objective manner. Do your due diligence. Don't take sides. Your finances is not a game that you play with. You got to take this thing serious. And I'm sure you do. But there's others out there, man, I'm telling you, they want to squash you like a freaking bug. They don't care if you lose everything you have. Those people out there exist and they are evil, and greed is their primary God. And they serve that God well, right? And it's sad, but that's what it is. And so we're here to help. We're here to watch out for you. I used to be an air traffic controller, and everybody says that's a very stressful job. And I would say, yes, it is, because you're in a business of having to be right a lot. As an air traffic controller, you cannot be wrong. You cannot be opinionated. You have to be factual, and you have to be as accurate as you possibly can. And that's always my goal when I'm working with my clients, is to be honest with them. Sometimes I make mistakes. And if I made a mistake with you, I apologize. Let me know, and I'll do my best to get better. I truly will. But you got to tell me that. I'm not a mind reader, right? I'm not I'm not a mind reader. I'm not a fortune teller. If I would, I wouldn't be here. I'd be a billionaire in some island somewhere drinking coconut juice and rum or something like that. I don't know. All right. But you got to tell me. If you're a client and you're out there and you're feeling some kind of way about something and we haven't talked about it, you got to call me. I can't read your mind. And let's have an honest conversation about it. But if you're out there and you're not a client yet and you're thinking about becoming a client, call me up. Have a conversation. Actually, click in my show notes. Get on my calendar so that I can just take a look at what you got going and see if there's any kind of manipulation, or whether you're being manipulated or somebody's manipulating you. My goal is never to take clients away from a financial advisor. I never do that. What I do is I look at your stuff, and then I tell you, here's what I found. Go back and talk to your guy about this, or your girl about this. Go back and talk to them about this, and then, let them know what you found, and tell them, how you want it fixed. And if they can fix it, then stay with them. You don't need to come work with me. You have somebody that you trust. And so I want to, because our industry has got a bad rap. And, there's people out there who try to take people away from people all the time just because they want to make more money. They're doing it for money. They don't care about the person. They don't care about you. They just care about their pocket. They just care about their bread, making that bread. That's all they care about. And you want to work with somebody who cares about you, and somebody who you like as well as they like you. And you guys have a, mutual relationship of trust, and you're trying to get ahead, trying to get ahead with you, and you want to get better. So, but if you don't have anybody, or even if you have anybody, I don't care. Click in my show notes. If you want a second opinion, sit down and talk to me. It don't take long. I'm not really taking on a whole lot of new clients this year, but if you come in from the show, then I'll definitely talk to you and see what I can do for you. And if I can't do anything for you, that's fine. And I'll tell you up front. I'm not going to take you on board and then, screw you around and jack you around and take your money and not do anything for you. That doesn't work. So I do my best not to do that. So thank you very much for tuning into the show and letting me get this off my chest. Greatly appreciate that. I tell people that I do these shows for others, but a lot of times I feed off my own shows because I listen to my own shows again and again and again. I listen to my own shows because I want to get better at what it is that I do in order to help you get from where you are to where you really want to be. So thanks for listening in. Man, I'm cooking up another show. It's called The Philosophy of Wealth or The Philosophy of Money, right? What is your money belief? And I got to cook this one for a little bit because I tell you, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. So I got to cook this thing up just right so that when I put it out there, my heart is right. My hands are clean and I'm putting out a show where I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I'm trying to help you get from where you are today to where you really want to be. So, keep listening in, keep tuning in. And when I get that show all cooked up and ready to go, I'll drop it. And so until next time, everybody, you have a great week. And 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.